I'm Steve Levine, the publisher of Real Estate Executive Magazine and the host of Houston Real Estate Today, Houston's most informative hour of great real estate information and, more importantly, great guests. I'm here this afternoon with Kristen Thrasher of Champion School of Real Estate, Ronnie Matthews of RE/MAX Legends, #1 real estate team in the city, and Rochelle Barrow with RoyceBuilders.com. Again, thank you all for being on the show. We left off with Ronnie Matthews, and he's telling us a little bit about real estate. Great time to buy, great time to sell. It doesn't matter what you hear on the news. And Ronnie, tell me about a little bit about what you foresee the real estate community being the next year or so, and trends, and just from your perspective as the #1 real estate team in Houston and last year's top-selling RE/MAX agents in the world.
Well, I think that the city of Houston has got a good, strong economy. So our market, I think, is going to be pretty flat. Obviously, we're in that time of the year where things slow down anyway because it's winter time and a little less activity during the winter. So how much of the slowdown is that? How much of it's a little bit? We did have some mortgage issues earlier in the year with the subprime mortgages, and that certainly has affected things. I think we're over most of that now, and if you have good credit, good job, you've got money to put down, there's no problem buying a house at all. If you shouldn't be buying a house, then you're going to have a problem if you're trying, because it's just the market got skewed with some of the loans that were going on, and many people that should have not been able to buy a home, the market changed where they could, and that was an opportunity for them. Unfortunately, many got in over their heads, and we are starting to see foreclosure market is growing in Houston at this time, because people did get in over their head with some of the loans, and they didn't have any money and they got into a home. They were literally able to get into a home with no money out of their pockets. Cheaper than you could rent a house. You know, if you lease a house, you have to put 1 month's rent and an equal deposit up, but you literally were able to buy a home with no money out of pocket. You can still get into a home with very little out of your pocket. There's FHA loans, which has always been a great product and a great way to go. And you don't have to have perfect credit to get into an FHA loan. You have to have a good history, and you have to have a little bit of cash to get into a house. But so it's still very easy to buy a home. Loans are readily available, and certainly the market, you've got your choice of any price range home that you want, from $50,000 or $60,000 to several $1,000,000 in Houston. So if you're looking to buy a home, this is absolutely a great time to buy.
What would you tell me as a first-time buyer, just getting into my first home, leaving an apartment? What advice would you give me?
Well, I think the two things you need to do is get with a good realtor and get good advice, get with a good lender, and make sure you're qualified to buy before you spend that time and effort and money and emotions. You know, it's an exciting thing to go out and buy your first home. You want it to go as smooth as possible. The way you do that, like with anything else, is get with professionals that will give you good advice and lead you in the right direction.
What kind of prep would you give me if I was a buyer? What kind of questions would you ask me, and what would you ask me for?
Well, you know, first off, you need to kind of talk the whole situation. Why are you buying? Where are you buying? What is your thoughts? Where do you work? What are your plans? You need to be stable. Buying a home is something you need to make a commitment to. It's not buy a home today and plan on moving somewhere next year, because you're going to get hurt in that type of scenario. So you need to think it through as far as what your real motivation for buying is, what your plans are for the next several years. And then you get into what your qualifications are, what your income is, what can you really afford, what do you feel comfortable with. A lot of people can qualify for a lot more home than they feel comfortable buying. So you have to look at your budget and not just what the lender says you can be approved for. You need to know what you can be approved for, then look at that, and then start evaluating if you can get the type of home that you want in the area that you want, and then make a good, sound business decision, basically.
Excellent, excellent information. Ronnie, what are some? I know you service all of Houston. It's no longer the boutique realties where you're within a few miles of your office as your specialty, as you said in the first part of the show. Everything from Galveston to Conroe to Willis and everything in between. It takes a fleet of vehicles, doesn't it?
Well, and I do have a fleet of vehicles, actually. So, and actually, we don't go all the way to Galveston.